how did you start off with that here in my garage?
Where were you at in your life when that got
in
released?
my garage.
I want to hear the story on this.
So I was living in the Hollywood Hills, had a badass, I enjoyed my life. It was an amazing life. I was at a mastermind. Somebody's like, you do good on YouTube and you should do YouTube ads to boost your stuff. I was at a mastermind. So I tell people to go to like masterminds and conferences. I don't even remember who was sitting next to me. I thought on it, and I had just got this Lamborghini. I was dating this girl, and I was like, she wanted to be Batwoman. And I was like, I'll be Batman. I'm going to get a black Lamborghini. I wanted one anyway. And so that was in October 2014. And then I go, let me listen to this dude and start boosting some ads. So I shot a video with my friend, Jeremy, and I tried to do it as an ad, and it made like no money. I lost 20 grand. I spent 20 grand in December 2014, and I made like 1 grand back. And, but I knew enough about marketing that it's all about A/B testing, iteration. So I didn't give up. I went for New Year's. I went to Paris for New Year's. And when I was there, my assistant, Nathan, I loved books. I had all these, I would order crazy amount of books. Was doing that back on the Amish days. I would like all my money I'd spend on books. It'd be delivered, it was like Amazon was first starting. They deliver to the Amish, Amazon shipments, not on horseback.
How would you order the Amazon though?
I would they didn't have a phone, but then you could go use like a payphone.
Oh my gosh.
So I'd like call somebody who would order them for me. I'd be I forget the whole, I had like I also would get these vintage books. But anyway, so I went and I took that, I shot a nut. Oh, he called me. I'm in Paris. Tai, what do I do with all these books? So I had like crazy amount of books, and I'd filled up the entire house. I had a pretty big house. I said, yo, buy bookshelves and stick them in the garage. I'll be back and I'll figure it out. So I came back first couple of weeks of January, and there's all these books there. And I remember it was a Sunday. It was like January 18th or 19th. And my friend called me. I had this really smart friend who's now my business partner, Dr. Alex Mayer. And he had said some advice to me. He would come down from San Fran. He was building his tech company. He sold it a couple of years ago for $300 million. But back in 2014, he was building it. And he came down to visit me. And I was like, let's go out to a club. And he's like, partying's overrated, Tai. And he kind of like chastised me. And I was like, damn, okay. So he was gone at that point. He had gone back to San Francisco. But that Sunday, I was supposed to go out to a club with a friend. And they texted me like, where are you? And I texted back, partying is overrated. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to make some content. So I was all alone that day because I was supposed to meet everybody. And I just grabbed a camera, and I knew about copywriting. I started copywriting like many years. I was doing that even kind of in the nightclub days. And so I just wrote out some like opening things. And I knew, there's 25 scientific cognitive biases. Scientists identify these ways that the human brain makes a decision. They call it heuristics. Like our brain is like a branching set of, like a branch. If you say this, yes, then it branches 2 more times. So one of the branches, that's where they get this concept of a hook or like a pattern interrupt. So I go, what's a good pattern interrupt? And speaking of Sunset Plaza, do you know Sushi?
Of course.
So I've had a lot of interesting breakthroughs. I met a dude in 2007 who basically told me to buy Bitcoin before it existed. He's like, this new digital thing. His name's Brock Pierce. I don't know if you know who he is. He's a billionaire now. I had a dinner with him at Sushi. But I also would observe. It's this place. It's kind of like the dude who owns Sushi has the most beautiful women working as waitresses. It's a good business model, okay?
And they're always out front because they're on the sidewalk. So and they'll say hi to everybody. Every time you walk by, hi, how are you?
Every dude goes there because they think these women like them. I'm like, okay. But I had noticed one pattern. When the most beautiful actress woman in Hollywood would walk by, if you'd walk, I've been a student of psychology, all men's eyes will follow her. But if a badass car was going by at the same time as a girl, the dudes would override looking at the woman and look at the car. So that Sunday night, I'm sitting in my kitchen and I'm like, what's a good hook? I'm like, what's powerful than even sex, beauty? a damn Lambo. So I'm like, let me say here, I'm here. And I also knew like authority, right? So what's an authority city to say where you are? If I'm like, yo, I'm here in, Omaha, Nebraska. Yeah. It's not like good copywriting, right. But I was in Hollywood Hills and everybody kind of knows Hollywood. So I was like working it in. I didn't script the whole thing out, but I just kind of like wrote a rough S line. I was like, okay, put in Hollywood Hills, Lamborghini's good. But then I was like, okay, don't sound too materialistic. Use these hooks to bring people around to something worthwhile for civilization, which is like, books have changed the world, man. It's like, and you can track human civilization really changing from the invention of the Gutenberg press in 2015. I mean, in the 1500s. So I wrote, here in my garage, just got this new Lamborghini, and I was like, this hook's gonna cook people right here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I said, but you know what I like more? And I practiced that pan. I probably shot that 15 times because pan, I went the wrong way a few times. And I was like, let me pan around. It was before like your iPhone, you couldn't tap to flip as good. So I was kind of like, should I flip?
Wow.
Do I turn my phone around? So I was like, let me just pivot.
Yeah. And
I was like, but what I like more is books, knowledge.
Yeah.
And boy, that phrase, it's actually like a good thing. I'm like, I'm gonna be remembered for some kind of meme thing, at least it's like the word knowledge. It's like actually a useful word for civil, like focus humans on knowing shit. That's what makes humans different than other species. If you really think about it, it's like dogs can run faster, gorillas are stronger, but humans have the ability to collect, collate, and act upon knowledge very quickly. Not just instinct. Like your dog, the only knowledge, and I like your dog, but it's not the smartest tool in the shed, right? The average dog has an IQ of like 20 to 30. They can't. Really? Yeah, they're
smarter than I thought. Yeah.
Well, like border collie, you have a smarter kind of dog. Like border collies are pretty smart.
Okay.
I've seen, my friend has a dog. Alex has a dog. That dog may not even have an IQ. It is the dumbest dog in the world. Gosh. His wife has a dog that still doesn't know his own name.
Oh no.
I mean, I'm like, it got that. What's that little dog that has Lexi? I mean, it is the dumbest dog. So yes, you're right. Okay. So the smarter dogs are 30.
Sure.
But anyway, so I did that knowledge thing. But then what people don't realize is I hate watching myself on video. Okay. I did not watch Here in My Garage after I shot it until like 2 months ago.
Really?
Yeah. I don't like it. It's like, do you really like watching yourself on camera? It's like, fuck.
Did you not have to edit it, or did you just send the footage?
No, I set it off.
Oh, really?
I sent it off. My friend did it.
You probably saw little clips of it because
I've seen clips.
You'd get an ad.
For sure. Like, I saw, but I went like 2 months ago and I watched the whole thing and I was like, the reason that worked because it was good copywriting.
It was.
And then what I did script was the landing page video. So there was an hour lander selling the 67 steps. And that I pretty much wrote out and almost on a script.
Now, wasn't that $67 a month?
Yes. It was a buck a month. Yeah. You get one video. That course, I traveled around the world, dude. People come up to me and are like, that thing changed my life. It's actually a pretty powerful, that 67 steps is a pretty powerful thing. I just had somebody I'm going to turn it into a book. And I asked them to like transcribe it. And they're like, holy fuck. They're like, you should get this out. I had to revise it because it would be 2,000 pages. It's because it's 67 hours of talking. Yeah.
So now I'm curious, when you first ran that, was it an immediate success?
It crushed. So I turned it on. I shot it on a Sunday, and let's say I turned the act, edited it Monday, Tuesday. My editors got up Wednesday. I had a conference. Remember we used to do the Roosevelt? Were you ever at any of those? Yeah. So the Roosevelt, hotel.
Mm-hmm.
I had a conference there. I was still doing some like self-help stuff.
Okay.
I go there and I'm talking in the morning, and in the back is my friend, and he's laughing the whole time. And I walk back there and I'm like, what's so funny? He's like, bro, look at this. And it's like, we spend like 50 grand on ads and make like 130,000 back in the same day.
Wow.
It was like, he was like, what the fuck? He's like, it was before targeting. And that's why I say you have to, wealth is created by a combination of many things, but one of them is catching new trends early. And you were talking about how humans aren't free thinkers. And what happens is, what it really comes down to it wasn't until recently that a scientist actually came up with this term of risk averse. Humans are risk averse. That's in our DNA. It's like humans 1,000 years ago, if they took too much risk, they fell off a cliff, or they didn't have glasses, they didn't have antibiotics, you didn't have all the things we have now. So taking risks was very dangerous. So new trends, like Elon Musk caught EV cars when they were kind of doubted that they'd be a real thing, or Jeff Bezos built a website in 1994. So all these wealthy people, for the most part, are catching trends early. And I'm not on the level of Elon Musk or whatever, but just catching that little YouTube ad, there was no competition. I was the only person who was like a personal brand. There was one guy, Six Pack Shortcuts. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't.
Mike Chang. He was teaching you like,
oh,
he was
yes,
an Asian guy, and he was like, oh,
he's always
ripped.
in his kitchen.
Yeah. And he was like, he was like, buy my course. But there was nobody doing it besides like Six Pack Shortcuts. So it just like printed money. It was like, and I've seen that over and over. Actually, in 2009, I got in the Facebook beta program. I'd seen the same thing, but it wasn't on the level of YouTube.
Yeah.
Like Facebook ads, I would spend, this is in maybe 2000, I think it was 2009. I'd spend like $2,000 and make 20 grand back. I used to make 10 ROAS right away. But Facebook didn't have, like YouTube has that visceral video experience. And Facebook back then wasn't really video. So it was just like image ads. So I had seen catching, and like I said, when I started in Google AdWords, being one of the first person, I could make $1,500 off a $150 spend, 10x. Wow. Facebook had that, but YouTube was just like super extreme.
How much were you making from that? Like how much did that 67 steps make?
Oh, it made like, probably now, maybe it's made almost 100 mil, but let's say conservatively 75. I checked years ago, it was like 7. I remember,
but that's in revenue, right?
Yeah,
but it was high margin,
right? I mean, it's just the cost of ads, which
but after a while, it was people were just buying it on their own. They would tell their friend about
10 million bucks in ads, maybe 15.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably talking. You're probably talking. I don't know. But I put a lot of that money back into growing my brand.